Bonjour, je m'appelle Ashley Johnson.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Troy Baker. Et, this is gameblog.fr.
I auditioned for the part in 2010, and my voiceover agent sent me over the audition script and a picture of Ellie and sort of her character description. And then I went out and I read for Neil, and I read for Evan and Evan Wells, and I did a few auditions, and then I got the part, thankfully. And then I read with. Then they started the auditions for Joel. They started the auditions for Joel, and then we read with 30 different guys to begin with, and Troy was actually one of the last ones that came in, and it was just instantly right. Just the chemistry was there, our connection was there with each other, and I think all of us kind of knew that Troy was the man for the job.
I was the same way. We got the audition, and we understood very early on that these relationships between these two people were going to be so important to the game, and that relationship needed to be felt between the two actors. So when I first walked in, I remember seeing you, and I think you had just had kind of a rough audition. And sometimes we just smile, even though you can see through the smile. I just walked over and I was like, I just want to hug you. And I gave her a hug. And I sat down, and Neil Druckmann said, do you have any questions? I said, sure. Should we just talk about the white elephant in the room and the fact that I am the youngest person that you're seeing for this role? And what set both of us apart is that there was a secret that we knew about the character that nobody else did. And for me, it was revealed to me in the audition lines. The description of Joel, it says, here's how tall he is, here's color hair, but there's one specific thing where it says he has few moral lines left to cross. And for me, that unlocked so much about Joel, because what has happened to a person when that could be said of them? So yeah, just like any actor, you walk in and you audition and you hope that you get the part, but I think it was not so much us apart, but it was us together that made us right for the parts. We get asked a lot of, what our favorite of all the scenes that we did, what our favorite is, and I think we have. It sounds glib, but it's so hard to choose just one. But I think both of us really love the ranch house scene, the scene where Ellie has run off and left Joel, and Joel and Tommy go and find her, and we find her in the bedroom, almost doing exactly what we were just talking about, where this is what the girls did. They worried about what clothes to wear, and you really get to see the fact that here's a girl who her childhood has been lost. And the reason why I think it's our favorite scene is because, not to speak for you, but we've talked about this so many times, that was a day where we had a really good scene, and what we did was good enough. But it wasn't perfect. And it was a day where we all got to really grow, and the trust that is a necessity to have between actors and the director was stretched, because we had nothing but trust. And that trust is what led us from good enough to perfect. And it was hard. It was really, really long. I don't know what you want to...
I know is both of our favorites. I think just because, just for the two of us, not even just Joel and Ellie, it really sort of challenged us, and we were able to sort of push through a lot. And I feel like after we shot that scene, there was we played our characters different, because it was, I think it was like the first time where we sort of melded into our characters. You know, we just made that connection. It was great. But some of my favorite scenes were actually scenes that I wasn't in, and I think that's because I was able to watch them from the side. And I always talk about the one scene that I love so much is when Joel is trying to find Ellie in the winter section, and then he goes to see the two guys, and he's like, "Where is she? Point on the map." And he shoves the pen in the guy's mouth, and he's like, "Point to it." And then he walks over to the other guy, and he just kills him. And I love that scene so much because watching it in person and watching Troy in that scene, I was like, this guy's amazing. This is just, I was so blown away. And that scene, I love it because it just shows Joel is just not a badass, because I guess that's terrible to say that you're just killing two people, but just, it just kind of shows what kind of guy Joel is, whether that's good or bad. It's just who he is, and I love it.
Get it together. We're not alone.
When your director and your writer are the same person, a lot of times it takes a very large person, big of heart and devoid of ego, to be able to leave that work open for interpretation. And Neil is so great in that respect, because he's completely free with us adding to or taking away. I would say more often than not, instead of a line being added, it was deducted, it was taken away.
Marker.
But there was a lot of ad-libbing. There was a lot of words that were changed, or because it was always about the intention and what was at stake in the scene. And a lot of times that can be said with fewer words, and that was kind of our focus, was always economy of words, saying as little as possible. And that's kind of Neil's philosophy. What is the least amount that I can say? What's the least amount that I can do that conveys the intention and what's at stake in this scene? And a lot of times you have to play around with that. You have to experiment with different things, or change a line, or even a movement can change kind of the intention of the scene. So yeah, there was a lot of ad-libbing that was done.
Follow me. Whole goddamn town's booby-trapped. Best stay right on my ass.
Can't miss it.
Knock it off.
I think anytime you get a chance to work, anytime someone believes enough in you to give you an opportunity, that's a win, and that's the goal. And we work in an industry where 90% of the workforce is unemployed. So you look at every opportunity as a blessing and as a gift. But that being said, you can get to a certain point to where, especially within games, what's so important is that you establish a strong character that can continue a franchise, that you can build a franchise. We're not just doing one. Most people are doing multiple things. And you have to start being very careful that you don't work yourself out of a job, because you become too exposed. So fortunately, we're in a position now to where we're focusing on people that are telling really good stories or doing things that are different, and we can look at opportunities that are things that we haven't done before, so that I don't just start becoming, I want to surprise people. I want people to be shocked when, oh my God, that's Troy? I didn't, because I've seen him do this. So you start being very selective about what you get. And for me, that's always, is it something new that I haven't done before? Is it a really good story? But everything is a risk. You could think you're making the greatest game or the greatest film or the greatest show ever, and then it ends up not being good. So it's really all about the process. I like to be a collaborative partner. So anybody that's open to that, that's what I really look for. It's interesting because using that word fun, there were a lot of times where this is my most loved project that I think I've ever done, for a lot of personal reasons, like what this did for me as an actor, what it did for me as a person, the people that I got to, we're now family. But not every day was fun. A lot of times it was the complete opposite of that. It was really, really hard. And so you find these moments in every project that you're in that really mean something special just for that, and that becomes your number one love in everything that you do. So it's impossible to select just one. I like good characters. I like fun experiences, and doing something like Saints was exactly what I think I needed, because we were doing Saints Row 4 at the same time we were doing this. I think we're actually finishing up Saints Row 3 when we were doing this. And you need those breaks. You need those moments of levity so that you don't always just keep yourself being so serious all the time. And so those are fun, and you get to kind of, shake loose the emotional weights that you carry with other projects and go have fun. But anytime I get a chance to work, but I like to laugh as much as I like to cry.
After the DLC came out, on YouTube, people put out a lot of their playthroughs, and there was this one girl that put out a playthrough of Left Behind. Now I know her name. At the time, I didn't know her name at the con, but her name is Kathleen, and I think her YouTube name is like Kathleen MMS 123 or something like that. Now I got to get her YouTube name. But she just she played through the game, and it was amazing because she was playing through it, and obviously, in the DLC we see that Ellie had a relationship with Riley. She loved her in many ways. I mean, Riley was, I think, the love of her life. And, as Kathleen was watching the video, she paused it after Ellie and Riley kiss, and she broke down. She just started crying because she just said, she said, I wish I would have seen something like this when I was younger. And she was gay, and she's like, to see this is, to see that they're making this in video games, and putting this story out there. And there's so much that she said, that I'm just sort of paraphrasing, but I think it really touched me that, she did this playthrough, and that it meant something to her. It's like when you make things and games or whatever you make, you want to be able to affect people in a positive way. And so when you can see that, it's a little humbling, and makes you, confirms what you're doing is a good thing. So, yeah.
Absolutely. We've seen a shift in the perception of the game space. And what's interesting is that even on this game, you have people who are notable actors who came in, and you could tell the people that got it, who understood, and the people that didn't. And the ones that were treating this like another gig, or that we were fortunate enough to see them, they're not working in games. And I actually had one opportunity where I saw one person who came in for our game treat it flippantly, or just treat it less. They weren't rude, they weren't mean, but they just didn't quite get it. And they came back for another audition for a different game, and you could tell that there was an understanding that this was an incredible place to tell a story. And it was encouraging to see that. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing, like I worked with Kevin Spacey.
Et c'est là que j'entre en scène.
Kevin was like, this is incredible. This is a wonderful place, and he's very much of a theater actor. So especially theater actors, people who have done theater before, come to this and they're like, this is so refreshing, because to have an opportunity to spend time on a scene, spend time on a character, really brings them back to something that they haven't done in a while, and gives them a chance to kind of stretch some muscles that maybe TV or film doesn't give them the opportunity to do.
I think, with actors, or just anybody in general, I feel like if they sort of don't take video games seriously, they probably don't play them. Because I feel like if you actually play video games and you play some games and some amazing stories, then you sort of realize, oh, this is amazing. This is this is actually an art form, and you can tell a story and have a full narrative there. But I do see now, like with Kevin Spacey, and Gary Oldman was in Black Ops, and more and more actors are sort of, I think, seeing that it's another way to tell a story, and that it's becoming more and more of a popular acting. It's getting out there more, so I think that's good.